The Lion of Sodor. It was a beautiful day on the island of Sodor. The sky was blue and the sun was shining brightly. Thomas was chuffing cheerfully to Brendam Docks. He felt very happy. Thomas had to collect a special, but he didn't know what it was.
Hello, Cranky. Is my special ready?
Yes, it is. The mayor is waiting for it at Knapford. You must puff very carefully.
Thomas was puzzled.
What is it, Cranky?
It's the Lion of Sodor.
Cinders and ashes, how exciting! I promised to take extra special care of it. I've never carried a real live lion before.
When Cranky heard this, he was surprised.
No, Thomas, the Lion of Sodor isn't a...
But Thomas was too excited to listen to Cranky. He was already puffing proudly out of the docks. Thomas puffed happily along. Then he met Henry.
Hello, Thomas. You look happy. What's your special?
It's a lion.
Bust my buffers. That's exciting. I only have sticky syrup to deliver.
Suddenly, an idea flew into Thomas's funnel.
I promised to take extra special care of my lion. I think he might really like sticky syrup. Could I have some for him, Henry?
Of course.
Thomas's engineer poured some sticky syrup into the lion's crate.
Thank you, Henry. I have to hurry now. The mayor is waiting for the Lion of Sodor.
Henry was surprised.
Fizzling fireboxes! Thomas has made a mistake! Stop, Thomas! The Lion of Sodor isn't a...
But Thomas didn't stop, and he didn't listen. Next, Thomas met Edward.
Hello, Thomas. You look happy. What's your special?
It's a lion.
Flatten my funnel. How exciting. I only have to deliver fresh fish.
I think my lion would really like fresh fish. May I have some for him, Edward?
Of course.
So Thomas's driver put some fresh fish into the lion's crate.
Thank you, Edward. I must hurry now. The mayor is waiting for the Lion of Sodor.
Edward was surprised.
Clattering coaches. Stop, Thomas! The Lion of Sodor isn't a...
But Thomas didn't stop, and he didn't listen. Then Thomas saw Toby.
Hello, Thomas. You look happy. What's your special?
It's a lion.
Buff my boiler, how exciting. I only have straw in my freight cars.
I'm sure my lion would really like some soft straw to lie on. May I have some for him, Toby?
Of course.
So Thomas's driver put some soft straw into the lion's crate.
Thank you, Toby. I really have to hurry. The mayor will be waiting for the Lion of Sodor.
Toby was surprised.
Uh-oh, trembling trucks. Stop, Thomas! The Lion of Sodor isn't a...
But Thomas didn't stop, and he didn't listen. Thomas's pistons pumped and his wheels whirred. He couldn't wait to deliver his lion. He chuffed his hardest and raced on towards Knapford Station. At last, Thomas puffed proudly into Knapford. Sir Topham Hatt was there. So were the other engines.
I'm very excited, Thomas.
This is a big day. The Lion of Sodor is here.
Thomas was uncoupled from the flatbed, and he pulled away to join the other engines. The workmen carefully opened the lion's crate. Then the engines gasped. The Lion of Sodor wasn't a real lion at all. It was a statue. And now it was covered in sticky syrup, fresh fish, and straw. Sir Topham Hatt was cross.
Thomas, This is a terrible mess.
Gordon and James laughed, and Thomas felt very silly.
I'm sorry. I thought I had a real lion in my crate. I wanted to take extra special care of it. I didn't know the Lion of Sodor was a statue.
So Sir Topham had told Thomas all about the Lion of Sodor, and the other engines listened carefully.
So you see, Thomas, it was the most famous statue on Sodor. Then it broke. This is the shiny new statue we have been waiting for. The mayor is coming at tea time, and now look at it.
I'll make sure it's clean, sir. I promise the Lion of Sodor will be shiny and new again in no time.
Very well, Thomas.
Thomas still felt very silly.
Cheer up, Thomas. I didn't know the Lion of Sodor was a statue either.
It all happened a long, long time ago. Not many engines remember that time. We tried to tell you, but you didn't stop.
I'm sorry, Henry. I should have listened. Now I must hurry. I must get the Lion of Sodor cleaned right away.
Why don't you take it to the washdown?
This time, Thomas listened.
What a good idea. Thank you, Henry.
Thomas was coupled to the flatbed, and he chuffed quickly away. Thomas took the Lion of Sodor to the washdown. Soon, the sticky mess was washed off.
That looks much better, Thomas.
But now the statue isn't shiny.
Take it to the steamworks, Thomas. They'll polish it until it sparkles and shines.
This time, Thomas listened.
Thank you, Edward. That's a very good idea. Victor will know just what to do.
And Thomas puffed quickly away. Thomas took the Lion of Sodor to the steamworks. Workmen polished the statue until it shined and sparkled, just as Edward had said.
The Lion of Sodor looks much better now, Thomas.
But it's nearly tea time. The mayor will soon be at Knapford, and it's a long way.
Take the track by the windmill. That'll get you there in time.
This time, Thomas listened.
Thank you, Toby. That's a good idea.
Thomas took the shortcut past the windmill. He huffed and puffed as fast as his pistons could pump towards Knapford. Children cheered and passengers waved as Thomas chuffed by. Everyone wanted to see the Lion of Sodor, and everyone wanted Thomas to stop.
I can't stop now. I mustn't be late. The mayor will be at Knapford, and he won't wait.
And Thomas whooshed on his way. Thomas puffed proudly into Knapford Station. The mayor had just arrived. He was delighted to see the new Lion of Sodor. The statue shined and sparkled in the sun.
Well done, Thomas. This is the finest statue I've ever seen.
And the cleanest!
Everyone cheered. And Thomas smiled from footplate to fender. Thomas and the Runaway Kite. It was a bright blue morning on the island of Sodor. It was the day of the Sodor Kite Festival. Soon the sky would be full of kites of all shapes and colors. The engines were very excited about the Kite Festival. Thomas was the most excited of all because Thomas liked kites best of all. Thomas puffed into Brendam Docks. He had a very special. He was to collect the winner's cup for the Kite Festival. Thomas gasped when he saw the cup.
Oh my! That's the most beautiful cup I've ever seen!
Thomas, you must deliver the winner's cup to Knapford Station. Lady Hatt will give it to the winner at tea time.
Thomas beamed from buffer to buffer.
Yes, sir. I will chuff straight there.
Thomas puffed proudly. He wanted everyone to see that he was pulling the winner's cup. Thomas pulled up to a junction. High in the sky, above the treetops, he saw a kite.
Fizzling fireboxes. What a wonderful kite. I hope I will see it again.
Thomas huffed and chuffed to the top of Gordon's Hill. Then he gasped.
There's that wonderful kite again.
The kite belonged to Sir Topham Hatt's grandchildren. They wanted to win the cup at the kite festival. Charlie puffed up.
Look at that kite swoop through the air!
Look, there's Thomas!
Suddenly, a gust of wind pulled at the kite. The kite flew up, 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 and away. Sir Topham Hatt's grandchildren watched. They were very sad. Thomas wanted to help them.
Don't be sad. I'll chase after your kite and bring it back to you.
This made the children very happy.
I'm the fastest engine on Sodor. I can catch up with your kite.
I'll help you, Thomas.
No, thank you, Charlie. I'm much faster than you. I can chase this kite all by myself.
So, Thomas didn't go straight to Knapford with the Winner's Cup. He chuffed off, chasing Sir Topham Hatt's grandchildren's runaway kite. The wind blew the kite far down the tracks. Thomas whooshed and wheeshed. His boiler bubbled. His coal crackled.
I must keep up with the runaway kite. I'll puff and I'll huff with all of my might. I'm the fastest engine on Sodor.
Then, the wind blew the kite out of sight.
Where has the kite gone?
Hello, Thomas. You're huffing hard.
Hello, Edward. I'm chasing Sir Topham Hatt's grandchildren's kite.
How exciting. Can I help?
No, thank you, Edward. I'm the fastest engine on Sodor. I can chase their kite all by myself.
At last, Thomas caught up with the kite. He was excited. Then, the wind blew the kite another way.
Cinders and ashes, come back, Mr. Kite, please.
Thomas chased and raced.
I must keep up with the runaway kite. I'll puff and I'll huff with all of my might. I'm the fastest engine on Sodor.
Then, the wind blew the kite up over the bridge. Emily was on the bridge. She saw the kite. She was surprised.
Hello, Thomas. Are you chasing that kite?
Yes, Emily. It is blown away from Sir Topham Hatt's grandchildren. I've promised I'll catch it.
Can I help?
No, thank you, Emily. I'm the fastest engine on Sodor. I can chase it all by myself.
And Thomas whooshed on under the bridge. Thomas clattered and clacked.
I must keep up with the runaway kite. I'll puff and I'll huff with all of my might. I'm the fastest engine on Sodor.
What's wrong, Thomas? Your cheeks are as red as James's boiler.
I'm chasing that kite.
Let me help. I can chase it with you.
No, thank you. I can chase this kite all by myself. I'm the fastest engine on Sodor.
So, Percy chuffed off, and Thomas puffed on. At last, the wind dropped. The kite landed in front of Thomas near a junction. Thomas was pleased.
Bubbling boilers, I've caught up with you now, Mr. Kite.
Thomas whooshed across the junction towards the kite. Then there was trouble. Thomas started juddering and jittering. The flame in Thomas's firebox flickered and fizzled out. Thomas had burned all his coal chasing the runaway kite.
Oh my! Oh no! I've run out of coal!
Then the wind blew again. The kite flew high in the sky and was gone.
I can't puff anymore. I can't chase the kite. I'm not the fastest engine on Sodor. I've broken my promise to the children, and I haven't delivered the winner's cup to Knapford Station.
Thomas felt terrible.
It's all my fault.
Suddenly, Thomas heard an engine chuffing around the corner. It was Charlie.
What's wrong, Thomas?
I ran out of coal trying to chase the kite.
I thought you were the fastest engine on Sodor.
I'm not. I was silly to think I could catch the kite on my own. Will you help me, Charlie?
Of course I will, Thomas.
Charlie gave Thomas some of his coal. Soon, Thomas's firebox was burning brightly.
Thank you, Charlie. I'm late. I must deliver the winner's cup to Knapford Station. Can you look for the kite, please?
With all my huff and chuff, Thomas.
So, Thomas puffed to Knapford with the winner's cup. On his way to Knapford, Thomas stopped at a junction. Percy, Emily, and Edward were waiting.
You look sad, Thomas.
I didn't catch Sir Topham Hatt's grandchildren's kite. Will you all help me?
Of course we will, Thomas.
Right away.
With no delay.
Thomas's friends were happy to help him, and Thomas was happy to be helped. Thomas arrived at Knapford Station with the winner's cup. Sir Topham Hatt's grandchildren raced over.
Hi, Thomas.
They hoped Thomas had found their kite.
I haven't found your kite, but all my friends are looking for it now. Come with me.
So, the children climbed cheerfully on board. Thomas puffed to a junction. Suddenly, the kite flew in front of Thomas.
There's the kite.
Emily, Percy, Edward, and Charlie chuffed to the junction. The kite danced between them. Then, it caught its tail on the signal.
Hooray! We've caught the kite!
The engines tooted, the children cheered.
With the help of my friends, we caught the kite.
And later that day, at the Kite Festival, Sir Topham Hatt's grandchildren's kite danced best of all, as the wind blew it high up in the sky. And Thomas smiled and smiled. The early bird. On the island of Sodor, all of the engines on Sir Topham Hatt's railway are busy. Gordon pulls the express. Percy delivers the mail. And Thomas puffs and chuffs cheerfully on his branch line. One morning, Thomas's fireman fanned his firebox ready for work. Thomas saw that his best friend Percy wasn't there.
Good morning, James. Have you seen Percy?
No, I have too much to do to see Percy.
Then, Sir Topham Hatt arrived.
Thomas, Percy has popped a piston. He has to go to the steamworks to be fixed. Percy won't be able to deliver the mail tomorrow morning. You must do it for him.
Thomas was excited. He had never delivered the mail before. He tooted his whistle loudly.
Yes, sir. I've always wanted to deliver the mail.
Make sure you do a good job, Thomas.
Of course I will, sir. Don't worry, sir.
Then, Thomas puffed proudly away to his branch line. Thomas stopped at a crossing. Gordon was there.
Percy is being fixed. Tomorrow, I'm going to deliver the mail run for him.
Percy's mail run? Have you asked Percy how to do it?
Don't worry, Gordon. I know all about delivering the mail.
Do you indeed?
Then the gate opened, and Thomas puffed quickly away. Thomas worked hard all day. That night, he went to see Percy at the steamworks. Percy didn't look happy.
Is your piston fixed, Percy?
No, it's still broken.
Don't worry. I'm going to do your mail run tomorrow.
Thank you, Thomas. Shall I tell you what to do?
I know what to do, Percy. Now, I have to go to sleep. I shall be up very early.
Well, if you're sure, Thomas.
Very sure, Percy. I have to go back to Tidmouth now. I need lots of sleep. Goodbye.
Percy watched as Thomas chuffed away. The next morning, Thomas woke up very early. He felt very proud to be pulling the mail trucks. There wasn't a peep to be heard as Thomas chuffed across the island. Everyone was fast asleep. First, Thomas puffed to the quarry.
I must let the quarry manager know that the mail is here.
Thomas was excited. He blew his whistle very loudly. And then he chuffed cheerfully away. Thomas hadn't seen that his loud whistle had woken up Mavis.
Who's making that noise?
Next, Thomas chuffed to the docks.
I must let the dock manager know that the mail is here.
Thomas was excited. He blew his whistle even louder. And then he chuffed cheerfully away. What Thomas hadn't seen was that his good morning whistle had woken Cranky up.
Who woke me up?
This is fun.
Lastly, Thomas steamed into the steamworks.
I must let the steamworks manager know that the mail is here.
Thomas was so excited, he blew his whistle louder than ever.
Oh.
And then he huffed happily away. What Thomas hadn't seen was that he had woken Victor and Kevin up.
Oh, what's that noise, boss?
Who knows, Kevin? Who knows? Some early bird.
Thomas worked hard all morning. Everywhere Thomas went, he blew his whistle loudly.
Delivering the mail is fun.
Soon, Thomas had delivered all the mail. It was time for him to puff back to Tidmouth Sheds for a rest. As Thomas passed through the quarry, he saw Mavis. Her freight cars were being loaded with slate. Then there was trouble. Mavis hadn't lined up her freight cars under the hopper. Slate spilled everywhere.
That's strange. Mavis never makes mistakes.
What Thomas didn't see was that Mavis was fast asleep under the hopper. That's why she had put the freight cars in the wrong place. Next, Thomas passed through the docks. Cranky was unloading some big crates from a ship. Then there was trouble. Cranky dropped the crates. They fell to the ground with a smash and a crash.
That's strange. Cranky never makes mistakes.
What Thomas didn't see was that Cranky had fallen fast asleep. That's why he had dropped the crates. Thomas pulled into Tidmouth Sheds. He wanted to tell Percy all about the mail delivery, but Percy wasn't there. Sir Topham Hatt was there. He was cross.
Someone woke Mavis up too early by tooting too loudly on their whistle. Then someone woke up Cranky at the docks and Victor at the steamworks. Now they have all made silly mistakes.
Thomas knew he had woken everyone up with his cheerful whistle. He felt terrible.
I'm very sorry, sir. It was me.
Then, Thomas, as Percy is still not fixed, you must do a better job tomorrow.
I will, sir. I promise, sir.
Then Gordon arrived. He had heard all about Thomas's trouble with the mail run.
You were right, Gordon. Delivering the mail is a hard job. I should have asked Percy what to do. And this time, I will.
That evening, Thomas visited Percy at the steamworks. He asked him all about delivering the mail, and Percy told him all about being quiet. The next morning, Thomas set off early, pulling the mail cars. He stopped at the quarry. This time, he didn't blow his whistle. He puffed very quietly so that he didn't wake Mavis. Next, Thomas stopped at the docks. He didn't blow his whistle here either. And he didn't wake Cranky up. Lastly, Thomas puffed into the steamworks. He dropped off the mail, and he didn't blow his whistle once. Victor stayed fast asleep. But Percy had woken up early to see his best friend Thomas.
Well done, Thomas. You did everything right. Thank you, Percy. Now I know the most important thing about delivering the mail. You have to do it quietly.
Percy was so happy for his friend that he wanted to toot out loud. Then he looked at Thomas. Thomas had fallen fast asleep.
Sleep well, Thomas.
And Thomas snored the sleep of an engine who had done a very good job. Toby's new whistle. It was a bright, sunny day on the island of Sodor. All the engines chuffed cheerfully. Everyone was smiling. Everyone except Toby. Toby was at the steamworks. Toby's bell had stopped working. It was covered in rust and it didn't clang and chime anymore. It had to stay in the steamworks to be cleaned. So Toby was very sad. Victor didn't have another bell for Toby, so he had to be fitted with a new steam whistle.
Easy does it, Kevin, my friend. Left a little? No. Right a little? Perfect. Very good, my friend. How does that feel, Toby?
Toby thought the new whistle felt very strange. It was much bigger than his old bell. He was worried.
I've never used a steam whistle before.
James chuffed into the steamworks with Sir Topham Hatt.
Hello, Toby. That's a 3-chime steam whistle. I used to have one of those.
This made Toby even more worried.
Is it a good whistle?
It's the best. It is the loudest whistle in the whole of Sodor.
The loudest?
Yes, it's loud and booming. Everyone will hear you coming.
Toby didn't like this. He didn't like loud and booming noises. He liked the ting-a-ling-a-ling of his old bell.
Toby, you must go to Knapford and collect Lady Hatt. She's waiting, so don't be late.
Yes, sir.
So Toby chuffed off to Knapford Station with his new 3-chime steam whistle.
I wish I had my old bell back. I don't know how to use this new loud and booming 3-chime steam whistle.
Then an idea flew into Toby's funnel.
If I puff slowly and carefully, I won't need to use my whistle at all. I can do all my jobs and wait for my old bell to be fixed.
This made Toby feel much happier. Toby steamed slowly through Sodor. Gordon huffed and puffed impatiently behind him.
Out of my way, Toby, you old steam tram. You're making me late.
Later, some cows were on the tracks in front of Toby. He couldn't puff past them.
Go away, cows, please. I need to chuff through.
But the cows didn't take any notice of Toby. They didn't move. They were too busy mooing and chewing. Toby knew what he needed to do. He needed to blow his new steam whistle, but Toby was scared.
I don't want to use this new 3-chime steam whistle. I wish I had my little bell back.
Then another idea flew into Toby's funnel.
I know what I can do. I'll get help.
So, Toby reversed down the track to find help. Some farm workers were working in the field.
Excuse me. Hello? Hello?
The farm workers didn't hear Toby. Toby blew steam and rattled his rods. But the farm workers still didn't hear Toby. They were too far away.
Bust my buffers, they can't hear me.
Toby knew he should use his new steam whistle, but he was still too scared.
I wish I had my little bell back.
So Toby puffed on. Somewhere he had to find help. But Toby couldn't find anybody to help him. So he huffed back to the cows.
I do hope the cows have gone back to their field now.
But the cows hadn't gone back to their field. They were still mooing and chewing all over the tracks.
Oh, no!
Toby tried to biff them with his cow catcher, but they still wouldn't move.
Oh, no, Henrietta! I think we're trapped.
Then there was trouble. Toby heard a noise that made his wheels wobble.
Another engine is coming! They'll crash into the cows!
The engine steamed around the corner. It was Thomas. Thomas was racing like the wind. His firebox was fuming, and his boiler was burning brightly.
I have to tell Thomas about the cows. I'll have to use this new whistle.
Toby closed his eyes. His firebox flared. Steam blew into his new 3-chime steam whistle. It was the loudest whistle anyone had ever heard on Sodor.
What was that?
It was a 3-chime steam whistle. They're the best whistles ever. I wonder who blew that.
Thomas heard the 3-chime steam whistle.
Cinders and ashes! I must stop!
He applied his brakes. Thomas screeched and skidded. Sparks flew and tracks trembled. Toby didn't dare look.
Phew! Thank you, Toby. Your whistle told me there was trouble ahead.
Toby felt very proud.
I'm pleased I used my 3-chime steam whistle. It was even louder than my bell.
Thomas was proud of his friend Toby. Together, with their whistles and wish, Toby and Thomas moved the cows from the track. Then, Toby remembered Lady Hatt.
Fizzling fireboxes. I've forgotten all about Lady Hatt. She's waiting for me at Knapford. I must puff faster than Gordon to chuff there on time.
Don't worry, Toby. I'll puff with you. We're sure to make it together.
Thomas and Toby puffed and puffed toward Knapford Station. Suddenly, Sir Topham had arrived. He was very cross.
Toby, Lady Hatt waited for a very long time. Now Gordon is taking her home.
Toby was upset. He knew he hadn't been a really useful engine.
I'm sorry, sir.
Then, Toby stopped. He saw something ahead.
There's a fallen tree across the tracks. And Gordon is steaming straight towards it.
Oh, no!
Don't worry, sir. I know just what to do.
Toby bubbled his boiler and pumped his pistons. He blew his 3-chime steam whistle as loudly and as boomingly as he could. Gordon heard Toby's whistle. He applied his brakes and screeched to a halt.
Toby, did you blow that whistle so loudly?
Yes, I did. It was my new 3-chime steam whistle.
For a steam tram, you have a lot of puff. Thank you.
Well done, Toby.
Toby couldn't have felt more proud.
Good job, Toby.
Toby was back at the steamworks. His little bell was ready. It glistened and gleamed as if it were brand new. Toby was happy.
Bye-bye, big new steam whistle.
Victor and Kevin had heard the news that Toby had saved Thomas and Gordon.
Well, Toby, my friend, it sounds as if you had a very busy day. Did you like the new 3-chime steam whistle?
It was very useful.
You can keep it if you like, my friend.
No, thank you. My bell is the best of all.
A blooming mess. It was a special day on the island of Sodor. Knapford Station was going to be decorated. All the engines were very busy and very excited. Sir Topham Hatt was at Tidmouth Sheds.
Knapford Station is being decorated. There are lots of jobs to do. Thomas, you must go to the quarry and collect slate for the new roof.
Yes, sir.
Emily, you must go to Maithwaite Station and collect the flowers for the new window boxes.
Flowers? How lovely! I know all about flowers. I know that buttercups are yellow.
Emily! And then take them to Knapford Station.
Yes, sir.
Emily huffed happily to Maithwaite Station. She passed Toby. Toby was delivering wood for Knapford's new floors.
Hello, Toby.
Hello, Emily.
Then Emily passed James. James was delivering pots of paint to paint Knapford's new walls.
Hello, James.
Good morning, Emily.
Emily puffed up to a junction. Mavis was on the bridge above.
Hello, Mavis.
But Mavis didn't say hello to Emily. Emily was surprised.
Mavis? Mavis! Hello?
Mavis still didn't say hello to Emily. Emily wondered what was wrong with Mavis.
I know what's wrong. Mavis must be feeling sad today.
At Maithwaite Station, Emily buffered up to the flatbed of flowers.
There are a lot of different flowers here, Emily.
Emily knew the names of all the flowers, but she didn't say a word. She was thinking about Mavis. She wanted to make Mavis happy. Then, an idea flew into her funnel.
I'm sure flowers would make Mavis happy. I have lots of them. I can leave some of them at the quarry for Mavis.
So, Emily didn't puff straight to Knapford Station with the flowers. She took the track to the quarry instead. Emily huffed happily into the quarry. She couldn't see Mavis anywhere.
I know. I'll decorate the quarry with flowers. That will make Mavis very happy when she comes back.
Emily looked for a place to put some flowers.
This is the perfect place. Mavis will see the flowers here as soon as she arrives.
Emily felt very pleased with herself.
Now, I must find somewhere else to put some more flowers.
Emily looked around. She didn't see Edward puff into the quarry behind her, but she did hear the loud crash.
Fizzling fireboxes! What was that?
Edward had crashed straight into the flatbed of flowers and rolled towards the hopper.
Edward, look out! Those flowers are going to make Mavis happy.
Pardon?
Edward was confused.
I'm sure flowers by the hopper would make Mavis happy. The hopper's so gray and dusty.
Emily felt even more pleased with herself.
Now, I must find somewhere else to put some more flowers.
Emily looked around. She didn't see Thomas reverse towards the hopper behind her, but she did hear the loud crash.
Bubbling boilers! What was that?
Cinders and ashes!
Bust my buffers!
Watch out for the flowers! They're going to make Mavis happy!
At that moment, Mavis pulled into the quarry.
Whatever has happened?
Emily looked at Mavis. Mavis wasn't happy. She was very upset.
What has happened to my quarry? And what are those flowers doing here?
Emily gasped.
The flowers haven't made Mavis happy. The quarry is in a terrible mess, and it's all my fault.
Emily chuffed up to Mavis.
You didn't say hello today, so I thought you were sad. I brought the flowers because I wanted to make you happy.
Mavis sighed.
I wasn't sad. I didn't say hello because I was thinking about all the jobs I had to do today.
Emily felt very silly.
I wish I had asked if you were sad. Then I wouldn't have brought the flowers and the quarry wouldn't be in a terrible mess.
Mavis looked at the mess. She looked very sad. Emily wanted to think of a way to make Mavis happy. And now she knew she had to ask.
Mavis, what would make you happy?
I would like the quarry to be tidy and all the engines to be really useful.
Emily felt very pleased she had asked Mavis. Now she knew exactly what to do to make Mavis happy.
I can't move. I'm covered in slate dust, and my firebox has gone out.
Don't worry, Thomas. I'll shunt you over to the coal hopper. You'll soon be burning brightly again.
Thank you, Emily.
So Emily worked hard. She puffed and she huffed, and she heaved Thomas to the coal hopper. Then she biffed and she bashed the flower beds away from the hopper so that Edward could shunt his freight car to be filled.
Now, the quarry is tidy again, and all the engines are being really useful. Is there anything else that would make you happy?
Yes. I want you to deliver the flowers to Knapford Station, where they should be.
Right away, Mavis.
At last, Emily arrived at Knapford Station.
Here are the flowers for the new flower boxes.
Thank you, Emily.
Emily watched as the flowers were unloaded. They looked very pretty.
Did you know, Thomas, that those yellow flowers are called buttercups? And those red ones, Edward, are called roses. And those white ones are daisies.
Mavis puffed up. She was smiling.
My!
You're smiling, Mavis. Are you happy?
I am. Those flowers look wonderful.
And that made Emily happy too. Percy's Parcel. It was a beautiful day on the island of Sodor. The sun was shining in a bright blue sky. And all the engines were very excited. There was to be a special party. It was Sir Topham Hatt's mother's birthday. Sir Topham Hatt arrived at Tidmouth Sheds. He had a special for Thomas.
Thomas, you are to collect passengers for the party from Brendam Docks.
Thomas was excited.
Yes, sir.
Percy hoped that Sir Topham Hatt had a special for him, but he didn't.
Don't worry, Percy. I'm sure you'll have a special later.
But Percy still felt sad. Mavis rolled by and stopped. She could see Percy was unhappy.
What's wrong, Percy?
I don't have a special. Everybody else does.
Don't worry, Percy. I'm sure Sir Topham Hatt will come back with a special just for you. And when he does, be sure to tell me all about it.
Just then, Sir Topham Hatt did come back. Percy was surprised.
Percy, you have the most important special of all. You must collect my mother's special birthday parcel from Brendam Docks. Then you must deliver it to the birthday party at Knapford Station.
Percy beamed from buffer to buffer.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Percy was excited. Mavis was right. Percy puffed into Brendam Docks. He gasped. The parcel was the most special parcel he had ever seen. Percy was so proud his firebox fizzed.
I must show Mavis straight away. She will be very proud of me.
Thomas was at Brendam. He was pleased for his friend.
Percy, you have the most important special of all. I know. I'm going to show Mavis my special straight away. But don't you have to go to Knapford Station?
Percy didn't want to listen to Thomas.
I have plenty of time to puff to Knapford. First, I will show Mavis my special.
So, Percy set off for the quarry as quickly as he could puff. Percy steamed into the quarry. He looked for Mavis. Mavis was busy. Rocky was loading heavy crates onto freight cars, and Mavis was shunting them. It was hard work.
Hello, Mavis.
Hello, Percy.
Look at my special.
I'm sorry, Percy. I can't stop now. I'm too busy.
Don't worry, Mavis. I'll wait.
Look out, Percy!
But it was too late.
Oh, no!
Rocky dropped his heavy load of slate. Everyone was lost in a thick black cloud of slate dust. At last, the dust cleared. Mavis, Rocky, and Percy were covered in thick gray dust, and so was Percy's special. Percy was upset.
Bubbling boilers! Look at the birthday parcel! What am I going to do?
Percy thought as hard as he could. At last, an idea flew into his funnel.
I'll go to the washdown. My special will be cleaned there as good as new.
Percy, shouldn't you go straight to the party at Knapford?
Percy didn't want to listen to Rocky.
I'll go to Knapford Station as soon as I've shown Mavis my special. I still have plenty of time.
So, Percy steamed quickly away. Percy huffed and puffed to the washdown. James was already there having a polish.
My, Percy, whatever happened to you?
Percy felt very silly.
I'd like a very good wash, please.
The workmen got straight to work. Water and soapy bubbles sprayed everywhere. Soon, Percy was gleaming green again. But his special looked terrible.
Bubbling boilers! The birthday parcel is wetter than wet! What am I going to do?
Percy thought as quickly as he could. At last, another idea flew into his funnel.
I'll take my special to the Sodor Steamworks. Victor will help me. His hot air blowers will dry the birthday parcel.
Percy, shouldn't you go straight to the party at Knapford?
Percy didn't want to listen to James.
I'll go to Knapford Station as soon as I've shown Mavis my special. I'm sure I still have plenty of time.
And Percy chuffed quickly away. Percy raced like the wind to the steamworks. Percy looked for Victor at the steamworks. He couldn't find him anywhere. But he did find a workman.
I'd like to be dried as quickly as you can, please.
The workman was happy to help. Hot air whooshed and whirred all over Percy and all over his special. Soon the workman had finished. Percy felt very pleased until he saw the birthday parcel.
Wobbling wheels! It's all crinkled and crumpled. What am I going to do?
Percy thought as hard as he could, but this time, no ideas flew into his funnel at all. So Percy steamed sadly away. Percy clickety-clacked slowly along the track. Now he didn't want to show Mavis his special. He had spoiled Sir Topham Hatt's mother's birthday parcel, and he couldn't go to the party at Knapford now. Percy didn't want anyone to see him, so he chuffed into a siding to hide. He felt terrible. Then he heard Mavis and Edward chuff to the junction.
Hello, Mavis. You look happy.
I am. I've just picked up these brand new crates.
Suddenly, Percy stopped feeling sad, and he started to listen very carefully.
Brand new crates?
Victor had just delivered them to the steamworks. I've never pulled brand new crates before. Goodbye, Edward.
A brand new crate is just what I need.
Percy pumped his pistons and puffed away to the steamworks.
Hello, Victor.
Hello, my friend. How can I help you?
I've just seen Mavis with brand new crates. May I have one, please?
Well, what for?
To put my birthday parcel in.
Well, of course you can, Percy.
That made Percy very happy.
Thank you, Victor.
Soon, a new bright red crate was sitting on Percy's flatbed.
This will be the grandest parcel Sir Topham Hatt's mother has ever been given. I must hurry now. Everyone will be waiting. Thank you, Victor.
And Percy puffed proudly out of the steamworks. Sir Topham Hatt and his mother were waiting at Knapford Station. Sir Topham Hatt was cross. Then Percy puffed in. The brand new bright red birthday parcel looked wonderful. Everyone cheered.
Happy birthday, ma'am. Here's your very special birthday present.
Sir Topham Hatt's mother beamed, and even Sir Topham Hatt smiled. As the workmen opened the crate, everyone wanted to see what the present was. Sir Topham Hatt's mother was most excited of all. Then everyone gasped. It was a beautiful portrait of Sir Topham Hatt's mother.
Oh, my Bertram! What a wonderful surprise! I'm very happy.
That's the most special I've ever seen, Percy.
Percy smiled from footplate to fender. He was sure he was the happiest engine of Time for a Story. It was a beautiful day on the island of Sodor. The sun was shining and the birds were singing. Thomas had worked hard all morning. He tooted happily to the children as he chuffed back to Tidmouth Sheds. Sir Topham Hatt was waiting. He had an important special.
This afternoon, there is to be a special story time for the children at the library. I need an engine to collect the new storybooks from Maythwaite Station and take them to the library.
Thomas wished his hardest that he would be given the special. Listening to stories with the children was his favorite thing to do.
Thomas, you will deliver the special. Make sure the books are at the library on time.
Thomas was excited.
Yes, sir.
And Thomas chuffed cheerfully away. Thomas puffed fast along the tracks.
I mustn't be late for story time. I'll chuff and I'll puff to be there on time.
Thomas steamed into Maythwaite Station.
Hello, Thomas.
I'm here to collect the new storybooks.
We'll have your freight cars ready in 2 toots of a whistle, Thomas.
Thomas saw the storybooks piled high in the 2 freight cars. There were red books, green books, and blue books. There were big books, small books, square books, and even round books.
They look wonderful.
Soon, Thomas was coupled up to the freight cars.
I must hurry. I have to deliver the storybooks to the library on time.
Thomas was very excited. He pumped his pistons and puffed quickly out of the station. Thomas didn't wait for the books to be covered. Thomas steamed quickly along the track.
I mustn't be late for story time. I'll chuff and I'll puff to be there on time.
The books began to jiggle and joggle, but Thomas didn't notice. Thomas puffed fast towards the junction. He could see the signal ahead was red.
I don't want to stop. The children are waiting for their special story time.
Then an idea flew into his funnel.
I can take the branch line. I know there aren't any junctions on that.
So, Thomas puffed quickly down the branch line. Thomas felt very pleased. He chuffed faster and faster, and the books jiggled and joggled more and more. But Thomas didn't notice.
I mustn't be late for story time. I'll chuff and I'll puff to be there on time.
Thomas raced round a bend. Ahead, there was a sign for works on the track.
Oh, bother! I'm sure the works on the tracks won't stop me.
So, Thomas puffed faster and faster. Then there was trouble. Workers were mending the broken track. The broken track was very bumpy. Thomas bumped and jumped. The books jiggled and joggled. Then Thomas hit the biggest bump of all.
Whoa! Cinders and ashes!
The freight cars bounced high in the air. They crashed and bashed. They clattered and shattered down to the tracks. Thomas put on his brakes. The books flew high and wide through the air and landed all over Farmer McColl's field.
Oh my! The freight cars are broken. The storybooks are all over the field, and the children now won't have their special story time. And it's all my fault. I was in such a hurry to be on time, I didn't want to wait. I should have waited for the books to be covered, and I shouldn't have taken the bumpy branch line. Oh dear. Fizzling fireboxes. What am I going to do?
Thomas looked at the storybooks. The sun was shining on them. The books looked even redder and greener and bluer than they had in the freight cars.
The storybooks look so pretty in this field. I wish the children could see them.
Then an idea flew into his funnel.
I'll bring the children to the storybooks. They can have a picnic story time in the sunshine. That really will be special.
So, Thomas puffed off to collect the children.
First, I must collect Annie and Clarabelle.
Victor and Kevin were busy at work as Thomas chuffed into the Sodor steamworks.
Hello, Victor. I'm here to collect Annie and Clarabelle. I'm going to take the children to a special picnic story time in the sunshine.
That's a wonderful idea, my friend.
The children will like that. They always have their best time with you, Thomas.
Thomas was pleased Victor and Kevin liked his idea. Later, Thomas huffed happily out of the steamworks with Annie and Clarabelle. Thomas puffed proudly up to the library at the town hall. The children were waiting. They were very surprised to see Annie and Clarabelle instead of cars of storybooks.
Today, I'm taking you to an extra special story time. It's a picnic story time in the sunshine. All aboard!
The children had never had a picnic story time. They thought it was a wonderful idea. Thomas blew his whistle and chuffed cheerfully away. Thomas puffed towards the junction. This time, Thomas waited. Then he took the branch line back to Farmer McColl's field. Thomas chuffed slowly and carefully up to Farmer McColl's field.
Here we are, the picnic story time special.
The children cheered. They could see all the different colored books in the field. They were very excited. This was the best story time ever. Thomas watched as the children ran onto the field. They each picked up a book, and their teacher began to read with them.
This is a story, children, all about a little boy. A little boy who didn't like waiting. He didn't like waiting because he thought he'd miss out on all the good things. But then he found out that good things are worth waiting for.
As the story began, Thomas looked at all the happy children. He smiled his biggest smile.
The children's picnic story time really is worth waiting for.
Slippy Sodor. It was a very special day on the island of Sodor. The Mr. Bubbles clown show was coming to town. Mr. Bubbles was famous. He could blow the biggest bubbles ever seen. All the engines were happy and excited, except for Thomas. He had a cracked funnel and had to puff to the steamworks for repairs. At the steamworks, everything was huffing and puffing and steaming and wheeshing, everything except Thomas. He waited sadly on the turntable for Victor to arrive. Thomas didn't like it when he needed repairs. It meant waiting inside and not having fun out on his branch line.
Don't look so miserable, Thomas. We'll find you a nice spare funnel and have you out and about in no time. Kevin, let's see what we have for our good friend Thomas.
Yes, boss. Coming right up. Sorry, boss. It was a slip of the hook.
Oh, Kevin. Well, that won't do at all, my friend. This funnel is much too small. Kevin, let's try something a little larger.
Yes, boss. Right away, boss.
Suffering Sodor, Kevin. What are you doing?
Sorry, boss. It was a slip of the hook.
Yes, we know, Kevin. We know.
Try this one for size, Thomas.
No, 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 no. This one is too large.
We only have one more spare funnel, boss. I'll be back in 2 toots of a whistle.
Let's hope it's a good fit, my friend, or you'll be here for quite a while.
Here it is, Thomas. Oops. Sorry, Thomas. It was a slip of the
Hook. I know, Kevin. I know.
Magnificent. A perfect fit.
This funnel makes me feel silly.
Not at all, my friend. It's splendid. It will help you puff very well until your old funnel is fixed. Now chuff along. I hear that Mr. Bubbles has a very special for you at Brendam Docks.
Thomas chuffed into Brendam. He was very unhappy. Mr. Bubbles was waiting. He was very happy to see Thomas.
Hello, Thomas.
Mr. Bubbles has a very important job for you, Thomas.
This is my very special bubble liquid. It makes the biggest bubbles you have ever seen. I need it for my show this afternoon. Please take it to Knapford Station.
So Thomas backed up slowly and carefully to the flatbed and was coupled up.
Now you mustn't spill any of the liquid, Thomas. Puff slowly and carefully.
Yes, sir.
We'll meet you at Knapford.
Then James chuffed up.
Hello, Thomas. That's a funny funnel.
Thomas didn't want a funny funnel. He wanted his old funnel back. And he didn't like James laughing at his funny funnel. So Thomas pumped his pistons and raced away as quickly as he could. He forgot all about going slowly and carefully. Later, Thomas stopped at a crossing. He saw Gordon.
Hello, Thomas. Oh, that's a funny funnel.
Thomas didn't want a funny funnel. He wanted his old funnel back. and he didn't like Gordon laughing at his funny funnel. So Thomas pumped his pistons and raced away from Gordon as quickly as he could. He wasn't thinking about going slowly and carefully. Bubble liquid splished out and sploshed onto the road, but Thomas didn't notice. Sir Topham Hatt was driving Mr. Bubbles on the road. Then there was trouble. The car skidded and skated right into a muddy ditch. Thomas raced on. He stopped at a signal and saw Henry in a siding.
Hello, Thomas. Oh, that's a funny funnel.
Thomas didn't want a funny funnel. He wanted his old funnel back. And he didn't like Henry laughing at his funny funnel. So Thomas pumped his pistons and raced away from Henry as quickly as he could. He still wasn't thinking about going slowly and carefully. Sir Topham Hatt and Mr. Bubbles drove toward a bridge.
Slow down, Thomas! You're spilling my bubble liquid!
But Thomas didn't hear them. More bubble liquid splished out and splashed onto the road. Sir Topham Hatt's car skidded and skated right into a haystack. But Thomas didn't notice. He went even faster. And so did Sir Topham Hatt and Mr. Bubbles. Thomas didn't see them, but he did see a red signal. Thomas put on his brakes. More bubble liquid splished out and splashed onto the road. Sir Topham Hatt's car skidded and skated right into a pond. But Thomas was too worried about his funny funnel to notice. He raced on towards Knapford. At last, Thomas puffed into Knapford, just as Sir Topham Hatt and Mr. Bubbles arrived. Sir Topham Hatt was very cross.
Thomas, you were going much too fast. The special bubble liquid splished and splashed out of the tank.
And now the tank is empty. And it's almost time for my show to start. The children will be very disappointed.
Thomas felt terrible.
I'm sorry, sir.
The only special bubble liquid left is at Brendam Docks. Now, there isn't time to pick it up before the show.
Yes, there is. I'm sure I can puff to Brendam and back in time for your show.
Very well, Thomas. But this time, you must be careful.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
And Thomas chuffed quickly away. Soon, Thomas arrived back at Brendam Docks. A new tank of bubble liquid was loaded onto his flatbed, and Thomas puffed carefully away. Thomas saw Edward at a crossing.
Hello, Thomas. That's a funny funnel.
Thomas didn't like Edward laughing at his funny funnel. But this time, Thomas didn't pump his pistons and race away from Edward as quickly as he could. He chuffed carefully on to Knapford. Then, Thomas puffed past some children. The children saw his funny funnel. They were excited. They thought Thomas was going to be part of Mr. Bubbles' show. Thomas was surprised. He gave the children an extra loud toot. The children laughed even more. Thomas liked to see the children laughing.
They're laughing at my funny funnel. It makes them happy.
And that made Thomas happy. Thomas steamed back into Knapford. The children cheered.
Well done, Thomas. You haven't spilled one drop of my special bubble liquid. And you're just in time for my show.
Later, the children clapped and cheered at the Mr. Bubbles Clown Show. They had never seen such big bubbles. Then the children spotted that Thomas's funny funnel looked just like Mr. Bubbles' hat.
Thank you, Thomas. The funniest engine on Sodor.
Soon, everyone was laughing, and Thomas most of all. Steamy Sodor. All the engines on Sodor like to be really useful. They huff and they puff to do their best for Sir Topham Hatt's railway. And sometimes that means doing a job they have never done before. One morning, Sir Topham Hatt had a new job for Thomas.
Victor has to go to the transfer yards. He has to see one of the little engines. He will be away all day. You must look after the steamworks, Thomas. Victor will tell you all you need to know. Make sure you listen carefully.
Yes, sir.
Thomas was excited.
The Sodor Steamworks is one of my favorite places on the island. Today, I'm going to be in charge.
That's a very important job, Thomas. Good luck.
Thank you, Percy.
And Thomas puffed proudly away to the steamworks and his new job. Victor was waiting for Thomas at the steamworks. Thomas was very excited. His boiler bubbled and his firebox fizzed.
Hello, my friend. This is a big day for you. The steamworks will be very busy.
Not too busy for me, Victor. I like being busy.
That's good, my friend. Now, when an engine comes in, you have to listen carefully to their problem. If you need help, ask Kevin.
That's right, Thomas. When you're in a fix, look no further. Just ask Kevin. It'll save you bother.
Thank you, Kevin.
Are you listening, Thomas?
Yes, Victor.
But Thomas was too excited to listen. He wanted to get on with his very important job.
Don't worry, Victor. I know just what to do. Hurry, Victor. You'll be late for the little engines.
Very well, my friend. Good luck.
And Victor steamed away. Thomas was now in charge. Soon, Spencer steamed sulkily into the steamworks. His shiny silver paintwork was scratched and scuffed. Spencer was surprised to see Thomas.
Where's Victor?
He's away today.
I'm in charge.
Spencer was worried.
Oh my, Spencer. You are in a mess. I'll check you over from wheels to whistle. Put Spencer up on the hoist, please, Kevin.
Kevin was worried.
Are you sure, boss? I mean, Thomas? I don't think Spencer needs to go on the hoist. I mean, he needs a repaint, boss.
But Thomas wasn't listening to Kevin. He was too excited. He was in charge of the steamworks.
Put Spencer up on the hoist, Kevin.
Over here, Spencer. Please, if you don't mind. Please. Thank you.
So, Spencer huffed huffily to the hoist. Then, Henry chuffed in. Henry wasn't well. He spluttered and stuttered. He wheezed and sneezed. Henry was surprised to see Thomas.
What are you doing here, Thomas?
Victor is away today. I'm in charge.
Henry sighed. Then, he wheezed. Then, he sneezed.
Footplates and fenders. I know just what's wrong with you, Henry. You have been given the wrong coal.
Henry gasped.
No, Thomas. It's not my...
But Thomas wasn't listening.
Don't worry, Henry. We'll have you puffing proudly in no time. Kevin, bring over some of Henry's special coal, please.
But what about Spencer, boss?
But Thomas wasn't listening.
Quick as you can, Kevin.
So Kevin trundled to the coal. Spencer sat sniffly by the hoist. Henry spluttered and stuttered. And Thomas felt pleased and proud.
I like being in charge of the steamworks.
Then, James steamed snootily in. Straw and twigs blocked his funnel.
Why are you here, Thomas?
Victor is away today. I'm in charge. Bubbling boilers. You are in a mess. What happened to you?
I can't puff properly.
I know just what you need. Kevin!
Yes, boss. I mean, Thomas.
James needs a new funnel.
No, I don't.
But Thomas wasn't listening to James.
But what about Henry's coal and Spencer on the hoist?
Thomas wasn't listening to Kevin.
Find the spare funnel, please.
Kevin was now very confused. To find the funnel, he had to put down Henry's coal. But first, he had to raise Spencer on the hoist. It was all too much for Kevin.
Oh dear, boss. Thomas.
Don't worry, Kevin. I'm in charge.
Then there was trouble. Kevin reeled and rolled back towards the hoist. And with a biff and a bash, he hit a big green button. That made Spencer shudder into the air.
Trembling tracks, what's happening?
Kevin gasped.
Heaving hooks! Sorry, Spencer.
Then Kevin dropped Henry's coal right in front of Henry's nose.
Bust my boiler and crashing coals.
Kevin rocked and rolled into James.
Mind my shiny red paintwork!
James was so upset, he blew the biggest puff of steam he had ever blown. All over Victor. Victor had just arrived from the transfer yards. Now he was covered from buffer to buffer in twigs, soot, and straw. Victor's wheels wobbled and his steam stuttered.
Sizzling Sodor! What has happened to my beautiful steamworks?
Thomas looked at Victor and then at the mess and the muddle.
Cinders and ashes. This is all my fault.
No, boss. Thomas, I'm sure it's my fault. I'm sorry, boss. I did try to say, boss.
No, Kevin. It's not your fault. I didn't listen to Victor. I didn't listen to you. And I didn't listen to my friends. I was too excited and too silly.
I think, my friend, you are right. What will you do now?
I'm sorry to all of you. Now I'll listen to you, and I'll make sure you're all fixed properly.
So, Victor and Thomas went first to Spencer.
I don't need checking from wheels to whistle. I need new paint for my scuffs and scratches.
This time, Thomas listened.
Don't worry, Spencer. You'll be sparkling silver in no time.
That made Spencer very happy. Next, Victor and Thomas talked to Henry.
I have my special coal, but there's something wrong with my firebox. It makes me wheeze and sneeze.
Don't worry, Henry. Your firebox will be cleaned. You won't wheeze and sneeze anymore.
And Thomas was right.
Pumping pistons. No more wheezes and sneezes. That's much better.
Lastly, Victor and Thomas listened to James.
I don't need a new funnel. I need my old funnel cleaned and polished.
James, you will have the most perfectly polished funnel on Sodor.
James's funnel was shining like the sun. James smiled from fender to footplate. Soon, all the engines were fixed. They were ready to be really useful again.
Well done, my friend. Time to go home.
Not quite, Victor. It's time to say thank you to Kevin.
Anytime, boss. Thomas.
And everyone laughed and laughed and laughed. Thomas and the pigs. There are lots and lots of farms on the island of Sodor. There are farms with sheep. There are farms with cows. There are farms with goats. Thomas likes visiting all the farms. But his favorite farm of all was Farmer Trotter's pig farm. Thomas liked their curly tails and the funny noises they made. Thomas liked to visit Farmer Trotter's pig farm as often as he could. One day, Thomas was watching the pigs roll in the mud. Farmer Trotter was happy to see Thomas.
Hello, Farmer Trotter.
Hello, Thomas. I have some very special news. One of my pigs is going to have piglets today.
Thomas was excited.
I can't wait to see them.
I need some soft straw for the piglets. I'd like you to go to Farmer McCall's right now to collect it. He will be waiting for you.
Thomas was happy to help.
Yes, Farmer Trotter.
So Thomas chuffed cheerfully away with his empty flatbed. On his way to Farmer McCall's, Thomas thought about the pigs.
I'm sure the piglets will like the soft straw. I wonder if there's anything else they like.
Thomas puffed up to the dairy. He saw Percy. Thomas told Percy all about the piglets.
How exciting! I wish I could see them, but I have to deliver this milk.
Thomas looked at the milk churns. An idea flew into his funnel.
I'm sure the piglets would like some milk. May I have some?
Of course you can, Thomas.
So the milk churns were loaded onto Thomas's flatbed.
Thank you, Percy. I must go. Farmer McCall is waiting for me.
And he steamed away. Thomas felt pleased.
I wonder what else the piglets might like.
Then Thomas saw James. James was at an orchard. The trees were full of juicy red apples.
Hello, James.
Hello, Thomas.
Thomas told James all about the piglets.
The piglets will soon be born. I must collect some soft straw for them.
I wish I could see the piglets, but I have to deliver these boxes of apples to the village.
Thomas looked at the juicy red apples.
I'm sure the piglets would like some juicy red apples. May I have some?
Of course you can.
So Thomas's flatbed was loaded with lots and lots of juicy red apples.
Thank you, James. I must go. Farmer McCall is waiting for me.
Thomas chuffed quickly away. He felt very pleased.
I wonder what else the piglets might like.
Then Thomas saw some children. They were collecting shiny brown chestnuts.
Hello, Thomas!
Hello.
Thomas told the children all about the piglets. They were very excited.
I'm sure the piglets would like some shiny brown chestnuts to eat. Please, may I have some for them?
The children were delighted to give Thomas some of their shiny brown chestnuts.
Thank you. I must go. Farmer McCall is waiting for me.
And Thomas puffed away. He felt even more pleased. At last, Thomas chuffed to Farmer McCall's farm. Farmer McCall was waiting. He was cross.
Thomas, you're late. Where have you been?
I'm sorry, Farmer McCall. I stopped to collect some milk, some juicy red apples, and some shiny brown chestnuts for the piglets.
Farmer McCall looked at Thomas's flatbed. He saw the milk, the juicy red apples, and shiny brown chestnuts.
Your flatbed is full. You have no room for straw now.
Fizzling fireboxes. I didn't think about that. I hope the piglets will like the milk, the apples, and the chestnuts just as much as straw. I must puff straight back to Farmer Trotter's. The piglets will be born soon.
So Thomas pumped his pistons and chuffed quickly away. Thomas pulled up at the farm. Farmer Trotter was waiting. He looked at Thomas's full flatbed. He was surprised.
Thomas, where's the soft straw?
I thought the piglets would like these things just as much as straw.
No, Thomas. Piglets need soft straw, and they're about to be born.
Thomas felt very silly.
I'm sorry. I'll empty my flatbed, then I'll puff back to Farmer McCall's as fast as I can. I must get the straw. There can be no delay. The piglets will need it by the end of the day.
Thomas saw Percy at the water tower.
Thomas, I know something else the piglets would like. I'm sorry, Percy. I can't stop. Goodbye, Thomas. I must get the straw. There can be no delay. I've no time for chatter along the way.
Next, Thomas saw James at a junction.
Hello, Thomas. I've been thinking about the piglets. I'm sure they'd like...
I'm sorry, James. I can't stop. I must get the straw. There can be no delay. I've no time for chatter along the way.
Thomas whooshed and he wheeshed. He huffed and he puffed until he arrived at Farmer McCall's farm. It was late.
Hello, Farmer McCall. Now I have plenty of room for the soft straw for the piglets. Could you load it right now?
Of course I can, Thomas.
Thank you, Farmer McCall. I must hurry.
Thomas's pistons pumped and his axles ached.
I must puff fast. There's no time for delay. The piglets need straw by the end of the day.
At last, Thomas arrived at Farmer Trotter's pig farm. It was now nearly nighttime. Thomas saw that the pigs had gone.
Cinders and ashes. I'm too late.
You're just in time, Thomas. I need that soft straw right away.
Farmer Trotter unloaded the straw from Thomas's flatbed, and he took it away to make a nice soft bed for the piglets.
The piglets have just been born.
Thomas was delighted.
Bubbling boilers. Look how small they are and how sweet.
Thomas could see the piglets really liked the soft straw.
Aw, that little piglet is looking at me.
I think I'll call him Thomas.
Thomas was so happy. His axles tingled and his boiler bubbled. Creaky Cranky. It was the spring holiday on Sodor. There was to be a party for the children at the Duke and Duchess's new summer house. All the engines were very excited and very busy. Thomas chuffed cheerfully into the docks. James and Henry were passing through.
Good morning, James. Good morning, Henry. Where are you puffing to?
I'm taking these straw bales to the summer house for the children to climb on.
I'm taking wood to make a stage for the children's show and barrels of lemonade to drink.
How wonderful. I'll see you later at the summer house. Good morning, Cranky.
What's good about it?
It's the Duke and Duchess's party day.
Party smarty. I don't go to parties. I'm stuck here loading and unloading all day. I haven't had a moment to rest my hook.
That load is for me. It's eggs for the children to paint. Hurry up, Cranky. You're creaky, Cranky. What's the matter? Are the eggs too heavy a load for you?
Cranky didn't like Thomas's joke. He didn't like being called creaky.
No, they're not too heavy for me. They're light as fluff. You're not strong enough to pull anything heavier than fluff, Tiny Thomas. That's why Henry and James have the heavy loads.
Now Thomas didn't like Cranky's joke.
Fizzling fireboxes, I'm as strong as any other engine.
You're not as strong as me. I can lift much heavier loads than you could ever pull.
Thomas really didn't like that.
We'll see, Cranky. I have lots of time to deliver the eggs. First, I have to prove Cranky wrong. James has a heavy load. I'll go and find James.
So Thomas steamed sternly out of the docks. Thomas found James at the junction by the washdown.
Hello, James. I don't have a lot of jobs today. Shall I deliver your heavy load of wooden barrels for you? You can stay here at the washdown. Then you'll be perfectly polished for the party.
James thought this was a very good idea.
Thank you, Thomas.
So James was uncoupled from the heavy flatbed of wood, and Thomas was coupled up. The flatbed was heavy. Huffing and puffing, Thomas set off for the docks. Thomas chuffed back into the docks.
You again. What are you doing with that wood?
This flatbed is very heavy. I'm sure you can't lift it.
Cranky looked at the flatbed of wood and barrels.
I'm sure I can.
Cranky's hook swung low over the wood. Thomas watched and waited. With a creak and a crank, and a crank and a creak, Cranky raised the flatbed into the air. Thomas's boiler buzzed.
Told you so.
You're still Creaky Cranky.
And you're still Tiny Thomas.
That made Thomas very cross.
I will prove Cranky wrong and still have time to deliver the eggs. I'm sure Henry had an even heavier load. I'll go and find Henry.
So Thomas steamed stormily away. Thomas found Henry waiting by the coal hopper for his special coal.
Hello, Henry. I don't have a lot of jobs today. Shall I deliver your heavy load of straw bales for you? Then you can wait here for your special coal.
Henry thought this was a very good idea.
Thank you, Thomas.
So, Henry was uncoupled from the heavy flatbed of straw bales, and Thomas was coupled up. The flatbed was very heavy. Huffing and puffing, Thomas set off once more for the docks. Soon, Thomas puffed back into the docks.
You again. Now, what are you doing with those straw bales?
This flatbed is very, very heavy. I'm sure you can't lift this.
Cranky looked at the flatbed of straw bales.
I'm sure I can.
Cranky's hook swung low over the straw. Thomas watched and waited. With a creak and a crank, and a crank and a creak, Cranky raised the flatbed of straw into the air. Thomas's funnel fizzed.
Told you so.
You're still Creaky Cranky.
And you're still Tiny Thomas.
That made Thomas even crosser. More than ever, Thomas wanted to prove Creaky Cranky wrong. He had to find the heaviest thing he could. Then, an idea flew into his funnel.
Lift me, Cranky.
Cranky looked at Thomas. He couldn't let Thomas win. Cranky's hook swung low over Thomas. Thomas hardly dared puff. With a creak and a crank, and a crank and a creak, and very, very slowly, Cranky raised Thomas high into the air.
Bubbling boilers! Creaky Cranky is lifting me!
Then there was trouble. Cranky creaked louder than ever. His crane arm stuttered and juddered. It creaked and it croaked. Then it cracked.
Oh, no.
Cranky's crane arm had broken, and it was all Thomas's fault. Thomas was stuck high in the sky and blowing in the breeze. Then Sir Topham had arrived.
Thomas, what are you doing up there?
I'm sorry, sir. I was...
You are causing confusion and delay. The Duke and Duchess have no wood, straw bales, or eggs. Now I see you have them all here. Cranky is broken, and you, Thomas, think it's a good time to try being a bird. The Duke and Duchess are waiting.
Thomas felt very silly. Then Sir Topham Hatt looked at Cranky.
And you're as silly as Thomas.
Cranky crumpled.
The shame to be as silly as a steamy.
Soon, a workman had climbed up Cranky. Slowly and carefully, Thomas was lowered and landed with a jolt and a judder, just as Spencer arrived.
Dear, oh dear, Thomas, what a mess. Little engines can get into very big trouble.
Thomas felt even sillier in front of Spencer, but he knew now that being strong was only good if you were also really useful. And he had to be really useful.
Spencer, I need your help. You're very strong and can pull much heavier loads than me. Will you take the wood, the straw bales, and the eggs to the summer house for me, please? It's my fault that Cranky is broken. I must put everything right as quickly as I can.
Very well.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Cranky. I know you're strong, stronger than me. I'll be back soon with the right parts to fix you.
Then Thomas pumped his pistons and puffed out of the docks. Thomas whooshed like the wind all the way to the steamworks.
Hello, Victor. Cranky creaked, and now he's cracked. He needs new parts.
You've come to the right place, my friend. Parts aplenty here. We'll have Cranky up and lifting in no time.
Soon, Thomas's flatbed was loaded with new parts for Cranky.
Thank you, Victor.
Of course, my friend.
Give Cranky my best.
And Thomas puffed happily away. Thomas puffed into the docks with his heavy flatbed. Cranky was still looking crumpled.
Here you are, Cranky. We'll have you fixed in no time.
Thank you, Thomas. That's a heavy flatbed. You know, you're not tiny.
And you're not creaky.
Cranky laughed, and that made Thomas laugh too.